Pro V or not Pro V? That is the question. Let's see if we can find out. Don't worry, this video's got nothing to do with Shakespeare. I'm going to put two Titleist golf balls against each other, the famous Pro V1 and the fairly new Titleist Velocity, to see if double price brings about double performance. So I'm going to hit 3 batches of balls, one with driver, one with a mid-iron, and then one with a wedge to see how these two golf balls compare to each other. So let's go with the driver first. Let's start with the Pro V1. Now let's hit 4 balls of the Velocity and then we can compare the numbers. So let's take a look at the numbers for the Pro V1 and the Velocity. Before we actually get into the numbers, you'll notice there that there was a couple of errant shots. Not like me. So carry 266 with the Pro V1, 263 with the Velocity, so very similar, within 3 yards, that's within tolerances. I am a human, not a test robot. Total 285 for the Pro V, 284 for the Velocity. Again, very little difference in those two. Club speed for both within a mile an hour, so we can say that I am a robot then. Ball speed 156 for Pro V, 155 for the Velocity. Spin rate 2782 for the Pro V, 2690 for the Velocity. So just a little bit lower spin on the Velocity on that one. So all in all, actually very similar. Now let's hit these two golf balls with a 7-iron and see if there's any major differences in the mid-iron range.
Why is it hard on my own? Why am I not like her? Baby, my soul, soul. Why must the curtains come down? Why must the curtains come down? It's effortless now. In the end, wish to leave something special. Let him talk. As long as my name is on their lips, call me mysterious. Why is it hard on my own? Why am I not like her? Baby, my soul, soul. Why must the curtains come down? Why must the curtains now? Why is it hard on my own? Why is it hard on my own?
Okay, let's compare the numbers for these two balls with the 7-iron. So carry distance for Pro V1, 177. Velocity, 177. 183 total for Pro V1, 183 total for velocity. So they're identical for me in that situation where I was hitting balls just there. Nothing between them at all. Ball speed for the Titleist Pro V1, 121, 120 for velocity. Again, very, very little difference. Now there is a little difference with the spin rate. So 6240 with the Pro V1, 5668 with the velocity. So just a little bit lower on the spin with the velocity. That's what Titleist advertised, so that's not much of a surprise. Now, descent angle 46.9 with the Pro V, 49.7 with the velocity, so it's coming in a little bit steeper, which is why it's not really rolling out any further than the Pro V1, even though there's lower spin. Total height 114 for the velocity, 99 feet for the Pro V1. So again, coming in from a high height and a steeper descent angle means the ball's not going to roll as far, even though there was a little bit less spin. So for me, with those two balls, the 7-iron, I don't think I'll be able to differentiate out there on the golf course. The next part of the test is going to be quite interesting, 50-degree wedge. Let's put these two balls through the paces. We should start to see some separation in performance of these two balls. I'm expecting the Pro V1 to spin a little bit more. Let's see if it does. So that particular shot, I was trying to land the ball 90 yards there or thereabouts. Titleist Pro V1 landed 90 yards exactly, so I'm happy with that. 89 yards with the velocity, so not much difference there. 95 yards total with the Pro V1, 95 yards total with the velocity. So again, no difference virtually at all in those numbers. Ball speed, 76 miles an hour with Pro V1, 75 with the velocity. Spin rate now, this is where things start to get a little bit different. 7,011 RPM with the Pro V1, 5264 spin rate with the velocity. So a fair bit lower. So you may or may not see that in the real world when you're hitting shots. I didn't notice it so much here because of course the carry yardages are very much the same and the total yardages are identical. So I didn't see a great deal more control when the ball's landing out there on the golf course, and that's probably a lot to do with these descent angles. So descent angle with the Pro V1, 45.1, 47.6 with the velocity. Peak height, 56 feet with the Pro V1, 64 feet with the velocity. So much the same as with the 7-iron, coming in a little bit steeper and from a greater height means that the ball is going to stop that a little bit quicker. So it's kind of making up for the loss of spin. Something very interesting for me was the fact that I found that the velocity felt a little bit softer with the wedge shots, and it did, to be honest, with the 7-iron as well. So it felt just that little bit softer. The Pro V1 felt a little bit firm and clicky for me. Now that's obviously a personal preference. It's not really affecting the performance. It's just the sound and feel, and that may encourage you to buy one of the balls or the other. If it was my money, I'd be buying the velocity all day long. So if you've enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet, you know where that red button is. And in the comments, I'd love to hear from you about what ball you use and why do you use that golf ball? What's your favorite ball and why? So until next time, enjoy your golf, take care, I'll see you soon.